Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Conakry to represent President Bola Tinubu at the inauguration of Guinea's president-elect Mamadi Doumbouya, following his victory in the December 2025 elections. The event marks the formal end of Guinea's four-year military transition and underscores Nigeria's commitment to democratic governance within the ECOWAS sub-region. The visit also reinforced Nigeria's role as regional stabilizing force while advancing diplomatic and economic cooperation between both countries. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the death of Imam Abdullahi Abubakar, the chief imam of Niga village in Barkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State, whose courageous actions during the 2018 communal crisis earned him national and international recognition. The late cleric, who died at the age of 92, became widely celebrated after sheltering over 200 Christians in his mosque and residence at the height of violent attack, standing as a powerful symbol of interfaith harmony and humanity. President Tinubu described the Imam as a rare moral compass and urged religious and community leaders across Nigeria to draw inspiration from him by promoting tolerance, unity, and peaceful coexistence. The Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says President Bola Tinubu is laying strong foundations for long-term economic growth through bold policy decisions aimed at stabilizing the economy and restoring confidence. Speaking while receiving members of the Grassroots Advocacy for Tinubu 2027 in Abuja, Idris said early signs of recovery were emerging across key sectors, despite the difficult choices taken by the administration. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to inclusive development and effective communication, stressing that public engagement and accurate information are critical to national stability. The political tension in Rivers State has taken a dramatic turn as the State House of Assembly formally resumes impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, pushing the crisis into a decisive constitutional phase. Samuel Odi has the details.
The Rivers State House of Assembly has reignited the impeachment process against the governor and deputy governor, signaling an escalation in the ongoing power struggle between the legislature and the executive. Addressing journalists in Port Harcourt, the leadership of the Assembly dismissed claims that the move is politically motivated, insisting that the action is rooted strictly in constitutional responsibility. Lawmakers urged that the executive arm has persistently violated the provision of Constitution and failed to respect agreement previously reached to restore harmony in governance.
In a bid to gain or win sympathy for the governor or deputy governor, many who do not mean well for Rivers State or democracy simply reduce everything to disagreement between our political leader and the governor. The real problem is that the governor and his deputy are at war.
The Assembly further expressed disappointment over what it described as a rejection of peace efforts extended to the executive. According to lawmakers, the gesture was met with hostility, including alleged media attack orchestrated by aides of the governor, aimed at intimidating legislators and forcing them to abandon the impeachment process, now resumed for the third term.
During the pendency of this appeal, we found out that the governor and the deputy governor, they have all employed their media boys and aides to continuously attack the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Convinced that their strategy is to intimidate us into withdrawing the impeachment process for the third time while they continue their infractions on the Constitution and the law.
Lawmakers also condemned the attempt to reignite the constitutional dispute as an ethnic or tribal conflict, warning that such narratives are dangerous and capable of undermining national unity.
If all of us want peace, if we want justice, if we want a society that is ordered, then we must be subject to the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Following deliberations, the House, presided over by Speaker retired Honorable Martins, conducted a vote on whether to proceed with the impeachment investigation. 25 lawmakers voted in favor with no dissenting vote and no aberration. Invoking Section 188, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution, the Speaker announced that the resolution would be forwarded to the Chief Judge of Rivers State for the next stage of action.
By virtue of Section 188, subsection 5, I will ensure that the resolution of this House is immediately communicated to the Chief Judge of Rivers State.
The Chief Judge is now expected to constitute a 7-man panel to investigate the allegation against the Governor and Deputy Governor as impeachment process advances into its full constitutional course. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
In a related development, a Rivers State High Court has issued an interim injunction temporarily halting further action on the impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Ngozi Odu. The court restrained the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Chief Judge, and other parties from taking steps to advance the impeachment process for 7 days. The matter has been adjourned to January 23, 2026, as the political crisis shifts into a legal contest. Troops of Operation Hardin K had killed several terrorists in Adamawa and Borno states after successfully repelling coordinate attacks on military positions. Across the northeast, the military said alert troops engaged the attackers at a patrol base in Magdagi local government area of Adamawa State, forcing them to retreat without casualties to government forces. Follow-up clearance operations were carried out to eliminate remaining threat and ensure the safety of both civilians and military personnel. Operatives of the Department of the State Service have rescued 2 pastors and a churchman abducted by armed bandits while traveling from Kaduna to Niger State. The victims were freed during ongoing security operations, bringing relief to their families and the Christian community across the region. Church leaders commended the DSS for the successful rescue and called for sustained collaboration among security agencies, religious leaders, and communities to combat insecurity. The Nigerian Medical Association says cases concerning negligence by its members are only referred to regulatory agencies which deal with Code of Medical Ethics and National Health Act. Chairman of the association FCT chapter, Dr. Emeka Ayogu, disclosed in an exclusive interview with Global Television healthcare correspondent Zarau Nasir.
Doctor's negligence or medical malpractice is when a healthcare professional fails to provide the accepted standard of care, resulting in patient's injury, harm, or death, requiring proof of a duty of care. Common examples include misdiagnosis, surgical errors, and failure to get informed consent, leading to potential legal action or disciplinary measures. The Nigerian Medical Association FCT chapter says part of what they are doing to prevent the occurrence of doctors' negligence is creating awareness on the issue of medical ethics, educating members to be very vigilant and also follow the medical conducts while on duty.
Actually, it's a very pathetic situation when it happens, and the NDM has a body, of course, a body of doctors. We create awareness and also preach and remind people the issue of medical ethics. We periodically engage members to, be very, very vigilant, make sure they employ medical code conduct. Do you understand? And also make sure they operate based on acceptable standards.
Dr. Emeka Ayogu also says whenever such a case is found, the regulatory bodies will sanction, penalize, or suspend the doctor.
They will act accordingly. Of course, eventually, made in law court, sometimes Nigeria Medical and Dental Council will sanction them, penalize them, sometimes suspend them, withdraw their licenses, and occasionally copy to us NNMA.
Medical negligence is a growing concern in Nigeria, stemming from acts or omissions by healthcare professionals that fall below the accepted standard of care, leading to patients' injury or death. Zahra Nasir, reporting for Global TV.
Meanwhile, proper sanitation and environmental hygiene has been identified as critical in preventing the spread of Lassa fever. Dr. Aisha Ladam Musa of Federal Medical Center, Abuja, who made this known in an exclusive interview with Global Television, emphasized that the best protection remains simple hygiene and public awareness. Again, Zahra Nasir brings us the details.
Lassa fever is an acute viral illness and hemorrhagic fever caused by the Lassa virus. It is endemic to parts of West Africa, particularly Nigeria, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. The virus is primarily transmitted to humans through contact with the urine or feces of infected multimammat rats or through direct contact with an infected person's bodily fluids. Dr. Aisha Ladam Musa of Federal Medical Center, Abuja, explained that raising community awareness and educating people on how the disease is transmitted remains essential strategies in reducing infections. The doctor said the greatest knowledge is knowing how to prevent Lassa fever, not just how to cure it.
The prevention goes beyond we individuals. It starts from awareness. Okay, so the most important thing in Lassa fever is community awareness. We have to inform educate the people on mode of transmission, the causal organism, and how it is transmitted from one to another. Because the greatest knowledge is how to prevent, is not how to cure. Yes, so outside that, also environmental and environmental factors also play a role, like sanitation.
In Abuja, some residents said they are already taking preventive measures by covering their food, maintaining good hygiene, and keeping rats away from their homes.
I know Lassa fever as a disease that causes harm to the human immune system. By making sure you're staying in a clean environment, because it's being transmitted by rats. So if you're living in an environment that is very dirty, they would easily have access to your environment, and then they would easily...
I know it's a disease caused by rodents that comes out of rats and it's related from the rat class. Avoiding deaths, because they come around deaths, they come, and when the time they also come around deaths, they feed on your food that you keep in your kitchen or wherever on your dining, and then you also have to also protect yourself from your dispenser.
I know it's one of the deadly fever that keep people fast, and I know it's introduced from rats. We're not keeping our food very well, we're not covering our food store or other things.
Public health issues pose a huge challenge in Nigeria, putting more pressure on the country's already overstretched healthcare systems. However, the outbreak of Lassa fever has further complicated the situation. Zahra Nasir, reporting for Global TV News.
The Jigawa State Police Command has arrested 20 suspects and recovered 24,000 tablets of illicit drugs during intelligence-led operations across the state. Police said the drugs, valued at over 1 million naira, were intercepted while being transported from Kano State for illegal distribution. The suspects have been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation and prosecution. You're watching the live broadcast of the Midday News. Midday News continues after this weather forecast, and don't forget that we'll bring you business, foreign and sports stories afterwards.
Hello and welcome to the weather update. I'm Sefia Sayunusa, and here's a look at the weather conditions expected across the country. We begin in the northern parts of the country where visibility is expected to improve gradually by Saturday. However, slight dust hails will still prevail across the region. Moving into the north central state, moderate dust hails is anticipated. There are chances of significantly reduced visibility over parts of Niger State. With the incursion of more moisture into the country, the south is expected to experience partly cloudy conditions. There is also a prospect of isolated thunderstorms over parts of Lagos, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. These storms may be accompanied by brief rainfall and gusty winds in some locations. And that's the latest weather outlook. Stay safe and stay informed. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that break. Now let's take you to the world of business, where the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority says Nigeria petrol importation falls sharply in December 2025, while supply from local refineries increased significantly. Data showed that imports declined by 19% as domestic refineries, led by the Dangote refineries, boosted output by 64%. The regulator said daily petrol consumption also rose to its highest level in December, reflecting increased economic activity. Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu has called for urgent collective action to fix the nation's food security challenges, warning that agriculture must move from the margin to the center of Nigeria's development strategy. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, that is AFAN, in Abuja, the Deputy Speaker stressed that unity among farmers, government, and the private sector is critical to transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector. National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick completes the report.
Addressing the forum, Kalu described agriculture as a powerful tool for job creation, economic stability, and youth retention, noting that productivity gains in farming directly translate into national stability. He urged farmers to organize better, adopt modern technology, and increase productivity, while challenging government at all levels to engage more deliberately with agricultural stakeholders.
Enhance technology, increase your productivity. You are not asking for charity. You are building wealth and building a nation. Demand the infrastructure and services you deserve.
The Deputy Speaker also called on state governments to back their commitment with funding, recommending that at least 5% of states' budgets be allocated to agricultural infrastructure, driven by data and accountability. He did not spare the private sector, urging investors to take bold risks in processing, logistics, and market systems, while working with smallholder farmers as partners rather than vendors.
This is my charge to the state government. Allocate at least 5% of your budget to agricultural infrastructure. Implement the market mapping framework we have pioneered. Use data to target investments. Hold yourselves accountable for agricultural output and job creation in your states.
The Deputy Speaker stressed that Nigeria already has the resources, policies, and partnerships needed to achieve food security but lacks unified will. With rising food prices and growing concerns over food access, the call places renewed pressure on stakeholders to move from rhetoric to results in securing Nigeria's agricultural future. Anie Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
And now to the foreign scene. Uganda's electoral chief says the country's presidential election was generally peaceful, stating that vote counting has concluded in many areas. Electoral Commission Chairperson Simon Dabakama announced this during an election update a day after voting took place under an internet blackout and amid long delays caused by technical features as 81-year-old incumbent president Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his 40 years in power. Uyi Agbomofuegbe has the rest of the story.
There have been widespread reports that biometric machines used to verify voters' identity were malfunctioning, which some have blamed on the government's decision to shut down the internet during the election. However, Uganda President Yoweri Museveni said he faced difficulties voting due to technical problems in Thursday's elections as the country faced an internet shutdown and widespread delays. Biabakama announced that vote counting has concluded in many areas, urging all candidates, their agents and supporters to remain calm and tolerant as the declaration of final results begins.
The Commission notes the exercise has therefore been generally peaceful across the country. We once again salute the people of Uganda for having turned up in high numbers to elect their leaders and for conducting themselves in a peaceful manner and for bearing with us as the Commission. As we talk now, the counting of votes in many places has been concluded, and the declaration of results or the tallying, the declaration of results, as the declaration of results gets underway.
The voting process, which took place amid an internet blackout and technical delays, has been closely watched both domestically and internationally. Museveni, Africa's longest-serving leader, is aiming for another term in office, continuing his 40-year tenure that began in 1986. Meanwhile, the Commission has released early provisional results from the presidential election, showing President Yoweri Museveni leading with 61.7% of the votes counted so far. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Meanwhile, Uganda opposition leader Bobi Wine has been forcefully taken from his home by security forces a day after elections marred by violence and internet blackout. His party said he was removed by an army helicopter to an unknown location as President Yoweri Museveni maintained a commanding lead in the vote count. The incident has heightened concern over repression and the credibility of Uganda's electoral process. U.S. President Donald Trump has appointed former British Prime Minister Tony Blair to a board overseeing post-war reconstruction and governance in Gaza. The board, dominated by African-American officials, will focus on rebuilding investment and regional relations following years of conflict. The move has drawn attention due to Blair's controversial history in the Middle East and Trump's broader vision for Gaza's redevelopment. And now in sport, the Super Eagles of Nigeria would face seven-time champion Egypt in their third-place match of the 2025 African Cup of Nations today in Casablanca, following their semi-final defeat to host Morocco. Both sides, who share a combined 10 AFCON title, who fell short of the final after Egypt lost to Senegal, while Nigeria were edged out by Morocco on penalty in Rabat, seeing up a high protest for Browns. Nigeria unbeaten in regulation time throughout the tournament and historically dominant in bronze medal matches, will be aiming to extend their record haul when kickoff gets underway at 5 p.m. The 2025 African Cup of Nations in Morocco has set a new tournament record after producing 120 goals ahead of Sunday's final, surpassing the previous benchmark of 119 goals set at the 2023 edition in Côte d'Ivoire. The goal surge has been driven by Africa's traditional powerhouses, including Morocco, Senegal, and Nigeria, alongside emerging stars who have matched established names in impact and consistency. With the third-place match and final still to play, the goal tally could yet increase further, sealing AFCON 2025 as the highest scoring and one of the most entertaining tournaments in the competition's history. Nigeria athlete Brittany Ogumekun has set a new national record in the women's 500 meters after clocking 1:10.00 to win silver at the NYC Galton Cup in New York. The performance eclipsed the long-standing national record of 1 hour, 11 minutes, 49 seconds set in 2016 and mark a significant improvement on Ogumekun's previous personal best as they opened in her 2026 season in record-breaking fashion. The achievement further strengthened her legacy in Nigeria's athletes and signaled strong form ahead of major international competitions later this year. And that's it on the midday news. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Abo. Thanks for watching.